families like yours are what makes Driscoll what it is.
We're a small part of the Rio Grande Valley and trying to create that giving culture.
Our first philanthropic dollar went to a Children's Miracle Network in 1987, and we haven't stopped.
What would 8-year-old Matt say about what you're doing today? Welcome to the Life Currency Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Lozano, a show that explores success, growth, and opportunity in the restaurant industry. A restaurant podcast by restaurant people, powered by F&P Media. Welcome back to the Life Currency Podcast. Today, we're stopping for a moment and talking about something that I would call priceless. That is our children and children in need. I want to do intros, but before I do intros, I'm going to put you on the spot, Matt, and ask you a question that I've been thinking about all week once I learned that you were coming in. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
What would 8-year-old Matt say about what you're doing today?
That's a great question. 8-year-old Matt was growing up as an Air Force brat on an Air Force base who all I wanted to do was fly fighter planes and be in the military and do that. And so, I think he would really look at what I'm doing now and be like, man, which way did you go left? But no, I think, it's always been about service. And so, I was raised that way, and my dad was career military. He served our country, and I think that's how I was raised, is that service was a very, very big priority for us. And so, now I feel like what I'm doing is I'm serving the children of the Rio Grande Valley, and it's extremely rewarding. So, I think 8-year-old Matt would be proud of what I'm doing. So,
well, isn't 8-year-old Matt getting to get on the Driscoll plane going back and forth?
That's true.
So
that's a good point.
You're still living out your dream.
Absolutely.
Through Driscoll.
Absolutely. Every once in a while, I get to fly through this job too. So
Nice.
that's not a bad deal.
Yeah. Well, I've had. It's funny. I don't know how to look at this, but I feel like I've been fortunate enough to experience Driscoll and the team, but then I guess the fact that I'm in there wouldn't be fortunate, right? Because of why we were in there. But I really did. And I'll tell you about that later some other time. But leaving there, I just was left with such a fortunate feeling, like the staff, the team, and how human they make everything feel, and how just aware of what's happening, and they make you feel seen and heard, even down. And I don't know if it's part of y'all's training or what, but down even to the word choice. I mean, it's not Mrs. Lozano, or it's not mother, it's mom. And it just mom and baby. And there's something about that I left a really, really positive impression on me. But it's today's a special day, I would say. One, because you're here, Matt, but also I'd be remiss if I didn't say this is the first Life Currency episode with Miss Laurie Lozano, my mom, as a co-host. Thanks for being here, Mom.
I'm thrilled to be here. Of course,
Yeah.
Driscoll is something very near and dear to our hearts. So to be asked to participate, I was honored and thrilled.
It was exciting, when I saw the email come through. You wonder, right? You wonder about these opportunities to be able to sit down and talk about these important things that are happening in our community. But I know it's a commitment of time, right? And being here is a commitment of your time and others. But leading up into Miracle Treat Day on July 30th, I think this couldn't have come at a better time. So thank you to you and your team, Matt, and Luan and Yvette and everybody that puts efforts into things like Miracle Treat Day. For those that don't know, but Children's Miracle Network, and Driscoll particularly, is a partner of ours. Through the Dairy Queen franchise, we raise funds for children in need, and we do it in a way that I would describe every year is just getting more and more infectious. Like, it's just fun and exciting, and we're now getting better at making contests and seeing how many people we can smile that day. And I'm proud to share, and in this light, I am going to share proudly and say that, our company is averaging over 6 figures for children in need every year, and that makes me feel really good. But it doesn't happen if both of y'all don't do what y'all do. And I think that's what is super important to highlight. So I want to get into that. I want to get into that relationship too, because Laurie also has an integral role, I believe, in Driscoll. And I want to learn more about that. But before I do that, I want to play a quick video, Rudy, and let's check out Matt in action here.
It was a fun day.
So that was I have a longer video there that I want to share as well that's going to expand on that. But just seeing, it's funny, you drive down, why am I getting tripped up here? McCall. But it starts, I think, back where it's before Freddie, a little bit before that. You're driving, and McCall kind of winds. But it's funny, the hospital is like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You literally see it perfect right there. And I this is so embarrassing, I'm going to admit this, but the other day I said, my God, what? We don't have any sky rises. You're like, what building is that, Having driven that road my whole life, right? Yeah. And now seeing it dead center, it was really cool. It was definitely a full circle moment. So,
well, I think you have a new appreciation for Driscoll, being that your son was just born and spent some time in the NICU, so you might have been something that you would not have noticed before. I, on the other hand, driving in and out of our subdivision, I would see Driscoll when we were under construction and going up, and how proud and how excited I was for the valley and for children of South Texas.
Yeah, shout out Leonardo. He's a tough little guy.
He's a sweetheart.
I described it this way, and we'll get into the topic I want to get into, but I'll say this real quick. But my wife and I, happy wife, happy baby. He's now a month and about 5 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, doing really, really good. But a few people asked me, like, hey, like, you're not out of the hospital, or what's going on, or whatever. I said, guys, I'm sorry, but Leonardo, he's at a really nice resort right now. He's got top-notch, people taking care of him. And, man, I was just fascinated. I left there thinking, how the heck do they get those little IVs?
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's really amazing. Yeah. So let's get into this topic. But just real quick for the audience and the listeners, Matt Wolthoff, Laurie Lozano, roles. Who are y'all? How are y'all involved in Driscoll?
Sure. Laurie, you want to go first?
Well, sure. My role today is I'm the president of the development board, and it's based out of Corpus Christi. We're thrilled that with the expansion and now having Driscoll here in our community, the hospital or the governing board decided to have a more diverse board. And so, therefore, more board members are coming from our service areas. And I was honored to be asked to serve on the board and now serve as the president. As you know, and maybe you know as well, our first philanthropic dollar went to a Children's Miracle Network through Dairy Queen in 1987, and we haven't stopped. And we feel very honored that our children are continuing to carry that and the importance of healthcare in not only in Edinburgh, but in South Texas. And so we're involved also because of an endowment that we created I guess, two years ago. And the support from our team that makes it happen every day. They also recognize the importance of having an amazing pediatric hospital in South Texas. We service also Corpus Christi with our business and now with Edinburgh. So that's the role that I play at Driscoll.
That's really neat to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and I think you're being modest because I think you are Driscoll. I think, families like yours are what makes Driscoll what it is. And going all the way back to our roots, our origin was a South Texas family, a woman, Clara Driscoll, a matriarch of her family, and a Texas patriot and an entrepreneur who left her entire family's estate to create this foundation and serve our children in all of South Texas. I was going to say the Rio Grande Valley, but it's all of South Texas. It's an incredible legacy, and you as a family are carrying that legacy on, which I think is just humbling to be a part of. And so a little bit about me. I'm the president of our new hospital here in the Valley. I've been with Driscoll for just over 4 years. Prior to that, I'd worked in the Rio Grande Valley for most of my career as a healthcare administrator with several health systems. But I will tell you that coming to Driscoll has been a breath of fresh air, and I say that all the time to our staff and to particularly to our new employees that are coming from other health systems. It's a very unique culture, and you described it earlier, and what you were describing was our culture. I mean, it is, we're a designated children's hospital, and that's part of who we are, and that's part of what makes us special. But I think there's even beyond that a culture of service and care and compassion that you can't, it's not easily replicated. So I was very blessed just over 4 years ago to get the opportunity to be able to lead this team, and we've been able to put together a very, very strong team here in the Valley and grow this hospital in a really rapid pace. But it's been a fun ride. I mean, we've like you said earlier, you got to see the building come up from the ground up. We broke ground in November of 21. I joined the team in December of 21, and we've been kind of we've been going fast ever since. And so it's been a really fun ride. And what's really exciting is that we're just getting started. There's so much more to do and so much more opportunity to care for our kids and provide new services, and we're just getting started. So it's exciting.
Yes.
It really is, and I'll tell you from a whole different perspective why it's exciting. Here at F&P, we talk a lot about how we're much more than a restaurant company, right? We run restaurants, but it's something bigger than that, right? And the way we say it is bigger than burgers, baskets, and blizzards, right? But
it's tough to be bigger than blizzards.
Yeah, especially in Texas, right?
That's right.
But it's that purpose that drives us. And here, a lot of our purpose comes from hospitality, just doing business with good people and treating people well, ultimately. And the reason I say it's so exciting from my point of view, but y'all at Driscoll create what I would say are core memories effortlessly. And here, a lot of our purpose comes from hospitality, emotional, but I'm not going to...
That first little one.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
You understand.
You don't forget that
Right.
that feeling. And we talk a lot about hospitality, and hospitality is giving people that feeling. I'll tell you another core memory that y'all have given me, which I'm very thankful for, but is back in 21 when y'all were building that building in the hospital, and y'all asked several folks to go in and write a message on the wall before they got tape and floated.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoever's back there making those decisions and building that culture, it's awesome, man. It's awesome. I have a lot of good friends that are dentists, and I love them to death, but I hate going to the dentist. I hate it with a passion. And leaving Driscoll, it really did. It was, you just leave feeling different. It's just not your normal healthcare or hospital. And that's a tribute to what y'all are building. So,
Well, and that's what been our participation is through the Driscoll way and what he's describing. And I'm speaking with my my Driscoll hat,
That's
not
right.
my Dairy Queen hat right now. Is that's what we hope to convey through the Driscoll way, and through Dairy Queen, that's where we decided to create our endowment in the Driscoll way, because similar to us, it is about the people and it is how you leave. Unfortunately, you're not going to Driscoll for the same reasons you're going to come to Dairy Queen. You're coming for a blizzard, and in a more serious way, it feels like a blizzard at Driscoll when everything's just coming at you, and you're not sure what to do. And similar, Bob gets emotional, and it is very emotional. And I remember we've already used Driscoll twice with our other grandchildren, and to have that feeling sitting in the waiting room, and I was a grandmother. I was the one with the concern. I was the one that felt lost. I'm thinking, how can I be lost? I serve on this board, but it's a whole other dynamic that you're not ready for.
Right. Hard to
And
prepare
so
for
when
that.
Bob mentioned that you'd be on the podcast, and I thought, this is great. because this is someone that I myself felt like I was somewhat in the inside, but then you still feel like so I can only imagine someone else when they first have to experience Driscoll. And so maybe I thought, well, this is
Yeah.
great. Let's talk about what you would like for the community to know, for all the grandmothers and the mothers that have to come to Driscoll. What is being offered at Driscoll? What are the specialties that are, why is it so important that Driscoll is in our community? And I know that I'm throwing a lot at
No,
you.
absolutely. I think that's a great place to start. But before I jump into that, I do want to acknowledge what you were talking about in terms of the endowment that your family provided to our organization. I think we'd be remiss not to talk a little bit about that first and say, first of all, thank you. We are grateful for not only the work that you do through Children's Miracle Network and through every year contributing to our mission, but this endowment was really a special endowment, and it was, I don't like to play favorites, but I think it was really that day. Bob, you said it. That was such a great day to have your family there and to be the first. There it is on the screen. To be the first real major gift to DCH RGV. It was just so appropriate, so fitting. But what was really special about it is that it was the purpose of it. And you mentioned how important our people are and how really, and I said it earlier, that we have a tremendous team. And that's what makes us successful, and that's what makes us who we are. And so that endowment, that $1 million gift, is what will continue to allow us to really celebrate our talented team and really recognize those individuals who really live the Driscoll way as you described it. And so I just think that it was such a special gift, such a special day, and I want to say thank you before we get any further into the podcast. But
thanks for that, Matt.
Absolutely.
We will proudly accept that thank you on behalf of everyone here
Our
at
team,
FMP, because the people right back here, some of these created those graphics they created, those checks they created, and there's a lot of effort. And then, of course, everybody in our restaurants, trying to create that culture of giving. I mean, it's neat to see. And thanks for mentioning it, but really we're a small part of what, and we learned this from you all, which I appreciate, but we're a small part of the Rio Grande Valley and trying to create that giving culture. There's a lot of different things that we've been labeled here, and a lot of good things. One, people say that there is just the nicest people in the Rio Grande Valley. Like, people that don't know the valley, they come and just say, like, man, everyone's so freaking nice down there. Like, it's so good, right? You hear about great food, right? You hear about, in the business side, you hear about renters market. You hear about, our spend and how we spend. Well, why not put up there, and why not just see it climb the ranks about how much those people give, because a lot of the time to me, it's not how much you have to give, it's how you give it, and give it freely, right?
Right.
And so I think it's already here. We just need to celebrate it and see more of it, because I would say that there's a lot of my peers that I think would be the first to give you their shirts off their back. You know what I mean? I think it comes, yes, I'm biased to where I live, but some of our culture just taught us that, you know what I mean? And it's sharing stuff off your plate, around the table and eating and stuff. It's part of us. So I would love to see more of that. And that day was super, super special and super fun. So shout out to everyone at FMP and for y'all encouraging that giving culture. So
yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think, one of the things that I love about where we live and the community we live in, and I mentioned earlier, I'm not originally from here, but my wife was born and raised in Harlingen, and she convinced me a long time ago that this would be home, and I did not. She didn't have to twist my arm. I'll put it that way. But I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a community that looks after its own. I think we take care of each other and we care about each other, and it's a very family focused community, and I love that about where we live. I do think you're right. I think there's, people are willing to, and particularly when we're talking about our kids and the future generation of our our Rio Grande Valley. I think people are willing to contribute, support, that, and do what they can to ensure that our children have everything they need. So I agree. I think it's a great community and a great place to live and raise a family, and it's a very giving community. Yeah.
Well, it's important because that shit is scary when you're in there and you're looking at your baby boy and you go, "Oh my gosh, man, that's it's a different feeling. It's a different fear." I told people, I texted a couple people. Some of the team didn't even know this happened. I just don't go around just saying these things, right? But I texted a few people. I said I experienced real fear, like just real fear, and so it's fascinating what y'all do. But Laurie asked a question. I want to make sure we get that answered, and then I want to go back to that original, the board and the president, and kind of that relationship. So, what can people expect from Driscoll, and what services do y'all offer?
Yeah, so thank you. So we're first of all, we're a designated children's hospital, and the only 2 designated children's hospitals in all of South Texas. So anything south of San Antonio, we consider our service area to be all of South Texas. So we serve, everywhere from Port Lavaca west to Eagle Pass south. We're actually now expanding that, and our cardiovascular surgery program is doing such a wonderful job taking care of children that we're actually taking care of some kids from West Texas and El Paso and even into New Mexico now. But our core service area is South Texas. We've been around since the early 1950s. I mentioned Clara Driscoll as being our founder, and she started our foundation, which in turn started the first hospital, which is in Corpus Christi. I'm going to focus more on our services here locally, but we've been taking care of kids in South Texas for a very long time, even here in the Valley. We have been flying pediatric subspecialists into the Valley for many years, decades, and we have clinics in McAllen, in Brownsville, in Harlingen. We even have a timeshare in Rio Grande City where we have a cardiology clinic. So we've been taking care of kids in the Valley for a very, very long time. Like I said, back in November of 21, we broke ground on the Valley's first designated children's hospital. And I want to take a moment to explain what that means. The difference between a designated children's hospital and a general acute care hospital that takes care of kids is actually a very drastic difference. And I didn't fully appreciate that until I started working for Driscoll. Most of my career had been in that general acute care setting where, you have a floor where you take care of kids. You might have a pediatric ICU. You may have a few subspecialists here and there. But your core business is really your adult population. And the difference there is a focus and a dedication of resources and expertise from the board level all the way down to the bedside. And it really, it doesn't, it may not sound like a tremendous difference, but it really is. I mean, to have that level of specialization and create the kind of culture that you described earlier where, all you do is take care of children and their families. And what it also allows us to do is it allows us to attract and recruit and retain pediatric subspecialists. And so we have a full spectrum of pediatric subspecialists that, again, they are the experts in their field. They are subspecialized to the point where we're talking about pediatric nephrology, pediatric endocrinology, pediatric pulmonology, that whole spectrum, GI, and it really, it takes that level of expertise and that specialization to really treat the sickest of the sick children. When a child is ill or comes down with a condition, whether it be very serious or very minor, it is not the same as when it's not the same condition and it's not the same treatment as when an adult comes down with a similar condition. And so you really need that level of specialization. And so we opened our hospital in May of 2024.
It's been 2 years now. Yeah,
that's right.
2 years, gone 2 years.
Yeah. It's been 2 years. It's gone by fast. May of 24, with 119 licensed beds. That includes a 63-bed neonatal ICU that is physically located in the Women's Center at DHR. And we are on the campus of DHR, although we are a completely separate organization, separately licensed facility. We are physically located on the campus of DHR, and a lot of that had to do with being close to the Women's Center, where they deliver a tremendous number of babies there every month. So 63 beds in our NICU. We have 48 pediatric beds, including a 16-bed hematology oncology floor. So on our 8th floor, that's our oncology floor where we see our cancer kids and rare blood disorders, and we see a lot of those kids, unfortunately. But then we have we had an 8-bed. We started with an 8-bed pediatric ICU, and just last week we opened up a brand new 15-bed pediatric ICU. So now we're at 134 beds, and what that allows us to do is we not only increase our capacity in ICU, but it allows us to take care of kind of more intermediate care kids that are probably a little too sick to be on the floor, not quite critical care, but somewhere in the middle. And so we're taking care of those kids in an ICU setting now, which is just a better place for them. It also gives us the ability to do on our 6th floor where our original ICU was. It allows us to do more procedures and where we do a lot of sedations for kids for a lot of the procedures that our doctors do. But I'm getting into the weeds, but I'll kind of circle back by saying that we have pediatric specialists across the spectrum of services. The 2 service lines that we have intentionally not brought to the Valley yet are neurosurgery and cardiovascular surgery. And the reason for that, a couple things. So I'll start with neurosurgery. Neurosurgery is one of those areas where you definitely want to have a trained and focused team that's all they do. The other thing is that pediatric neurosurgeons are very hard to come by. When we started the hospital, we had 1 in the whole system. And that means 1 pediatric neurosurgeon for all of South Texas. We now have 2 in the system. And I do think that we will work towards having neurosurgical coverage for our emergency department for trauma cases, those kind of things, in the near future. But the resources are really consolidated in Corpus Christi right now. Cardiovascular surgery is even more that way, where you really want to have a dedicated team and even a dedicated facility where that's all they do, and that's what we have in Corpus Christi. And so and that. Right now, that cardiovascular surgery team is leading the nation in outcomes. I mean, they are just Dr. Stephen Langley's our medical director up there, and he is world class. I mean, he is just phenomenal, and that's why that's centered in Corpus Christi. But what's really cool to see is, as one medical staff across South Texas between the Valley and Corpus, the interactions and the collaboration and just we have added depth to the pediatric pediatric physician population across South Texas tremendously, and particularly in the Rio Grande Valley, where there were some pediatric subspecialists here before, but now again we're adding depth. We're adding a strong network of resources behind them. And the recruiting is getting easier and easier, and you, for a lot of the reasons you just described on why this is such a great place to live, it is, now that there is a designated children's hospital here in the Valley, it is that much easier to recruit pediatric subspecialists to the Valley, and that's where they want to work. Those kind of physicians really don't want to work in an adult-focused hospital. They want to work in a designated children's hospital, and so it's almost prohibitive to having those in your community unless you have that designated children's hospital. And so we have plenty of stories to tell of those kind of physicians that have come, even some that have been raised here in the Valley, trained elsewhere, and have now come back because we're here. Some really good stories around some very talented physicians that have come back to join our team.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, like Dr. Trevino.
Dr. Trevino is a great example, and we'll talk about. I'm sure we'll get an opportunity to talk a little bit about our residency program. But Dr. Veronica Trevino is a hospitalist, a pediatric hospitalist who was from McAllen, grew up here. She went and she was in the inaugural medical class at UTRGV, so the inaugural class of the medical school, at UTRGV. And she went to her residency training at Driscoll in Corpus Christi only because our residency program here didn't exist at the time. And so as soon as she graduated, she came back. As soon as the hospital was open, she is now not only serving as a hospitalist in our hospital, but she's also an associate program director for our residency program, which just started here this month. So we have our first class of residents here in the Valley as of just a week ago. So we're really excited about that.
There's a whole lot of information, and I start to think of so many different things. I want to mention this perspective as well, and then I want to ask you a question. But walking into the NICU and seeing all the state-of-the-art equipment, and I'm just, of course, thinking about my son, but I'm just blown away by the state-of-the-art equipment that y'all have down here, not knowing that you drive by there and you don't even know this is going on, right? And then I tell you that the thing I left with is how they make you feel. So you pair everything you said with that culture. It's amazing what y'all are doing. How does that make you feel?
Well, me personally, I will tell you, I feel very, very blessed to be a part of the team and be a part of what we're doing and the mission and just, I really feel like we are changing healthcare for kids in the Valley and raising the bar in terms of the services that they can access and the quality of care that they receive. So I feel very blessed to be a part of that. It's extremely gratifying to hear the stories. Even before the hospital was built, you could be in any social setting in the Valley and somebody would have a personal connection to Driscoll. Our community's been I think very much aware of Driscoll and and what that means for many years. But now it's the stories have changed a little bit. Now I don't have to leave my home, my community, my home to go seek that level of care anymore. I can now, I can stay here. I can stay at home and I can get that same level of care that I used to get in Corpus Christi. Mm-hmm. And that's extremely gratifying.
Yeah, sure. And also for employers, that's important.
Yeah.
Because if you have an employee that has a sick child, it's night and day that they get to stay local, continue to work and have the best care for their child instead of having to leave to Corpus and live divided. So we can see that that impact.
I think that's a great point. I think as the Valley continues to grow, the local economy continues to grow, large employers look to the Valley to see, hey, is this a place I want to invest? Having a designated children's hospital makes a difference.
Sure, it really does.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine what it looks like, but some of those rooms, it's fascinating. Starting with a lot of the preemie babies, and I mean, you're just seeing them all in their little beds, and it's just something. Yeah, and the fact that we drive by there every day, it's still just you have a different appreciation for it once you're on the inside, and raising awareness is important. It's very different.
I think so, and of course, that was a natural. You went from the hospital to the NICU and newborn, but maybe share how does anyone know when do you go to your pediatrician, when do you go to urgent care, when do you go to ER at Driscoll?
That's a great question, and we really try to spend a lot of time educating our community on those exact points. When do you utilize the emergency department? When is it appropriate to go to urgent care? I'd say first of all that we have a great network of pediatricians who have been serving this community for a long time, and they are very hardworking, very very high quality doctors who I think would also tell you that they're very grateful that we now have the resources on the acute care side, on the hospital side that we have. But I'd say that's your first. That pediatrician is really he or she is the first kind of line of defense. And during the day, if their office is open and they're willing to see you, that is kind of the first entry point to healthcare for your kid. In the evening hours, there certainly are some of the pediatricians do have after hours clinics where they continue to keep their clinic open, and that's an option for parents. We have a quick care, which is basically the equivalent of an urgent care in McAllen on Ridge Road that's been there for quite some time, and that's always an option as well. And so
is that the only location?
That is the only location in the valley. Yes. They have X-ray, and lab services, so you really can get a good workup if you go into that quick care. It is what it. I mean, it actually is quick. It lives up to its name.
So you think you broke a leg or an
Absolutely.
arm, or that's where you could run in?
Yeah,
and get
it of course to varying degrees, right? So if you have, if you're an athlete and you think you may have, you have fractured something and it's not. I don't want to get too graphic, but if you're, it's not protruding from your your
not like
arm
Bob's when he was 10 years old.
Did you have
Protruding?
I don't know. I just told that story actually. I ended up at Driscoll in Corpus, but
Dr. Timberlake was your doctor. I served with him on the board, and I reminded him, and
how
he remembers.
nice.
That's
Wow.
what was incredible.
He is a very special man.
Well, I'll tell you two things quickly. Again, I know I'm bringing it up a lot. It just came out of there a month ago, but hearing, we're like batting 95% right now. Great nights with my little one, but those 5% where, yeah, I know, right? But where he likes to stay up and
where he's learning to manage them. That's what I told him.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
exactly.
he has leadership skills already.
Yeah, he's calling the shots.
and you're just trying to really just hone in on that patience and just be with him all night. Well, when I was 10 years old, I was like a big version of my little one because I broke my
At the growth
my
plate.
wrist. I flipped my growth plate. I chipped my elbow, and I I forget what they called it, but my humerus, I guess, basically spiral fracture or something like that. And so they were they saw that this was broken for sure. This was when I guess they get there, right? Ambulance, etc. So they were moving my arm, trying to put it in place, but they were grabbing my wrist the whole time. And I was like, no, it hurts. And they're like, I know, you broke your arm. And I'm like, no, that hurts. Like, where you're good. Yeah. So basically I had to choose where to get surgery. It was either here or here. And yeah, I wear a watch most of the days, but 2 scars here that I had to get.
But I remember Dr. Timberlake, he explained everything, what he needed to do. And he's, of course, loved basketball. And I knew that he would be an athlete. And he talked about how they were going to have to put pins and slowly stretch the arm. And it just seemed too much for me. And I just asked him, Dr. Timberlake, if this was your son, what would you do? Get a good tailor. One arm's going to be maybe about a quarter inch shorter than the other.
Did you hear that?
You'll be
I was an
fine.
athlete, okay?
That's
Y'all
right.
remember
That's right.
that. I was an athlete. Yeah.
And I remember, and that's what we chose to do. And
Yeah.
he said he'll be able, next year he'll be able to participate again. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And it was.
I remember. I mean, at 10 years, I had to sleep on a recliner, and I really would. I would just wincing all night because that cast and everything.
And then get everything to scratch up.
Yeah,
in there.
it was. Yeah. So
that's
Driscoll a couple of times, but
So no more trampolines
yeah.
and basketball at the
Did
same time.
you ever see the movie Happy Gilmore?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, right. So when Shooter McGavin, man, I obviously nobody likes Shooter McGavin, but he's like,
No, he's a bad guy.
my left arm's a little shorter than my right. I feel like Shooter McGavin now because I'm like, my left arm. No, it literally is, man. Like just a tiny
He
bit.
had one of those little small trampolines. They're about this big around, and so they jump on it and then try to dunk the
Tries
ball.
to dunk the
Slam
basketball.
ball. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I held a little bit too long,
Well,
and then
long.
I put my
Fell on
arm
his
back.
arm.
I
So
can see how it happens.
it's so
Yeah.
funny. And then I tell people that story. I'm like, no, seriously, like my growth plate or what? And they're like, really? Let me see. So then I go like this, and they're like, what?
It's like a
I was
foot
like,
longer.
no, I'm kidding, dude. I'm kidding. But yeah, it was just like making light of stuff. But yeah, Driscoll's been in and out. Yeah, it's fascinating to hear it from your perspective, Matt. It's really, really neat. And I think some of that clear direction, I think, is really important because it's overwhelming when you're in that decision
Well,
making
and then you
process.
think to go to Driscoll
Yeah.
for something major like that.
Yeah.
But that's why I try to clarify
Well,
even DHR. I remember you go to the emergency room and it was full of kids.
And-
when are you supposed to go to
you're,
emergency?
and really, I'd say there's no wrong. The bottom line is, if you think you need care, you probably need to seek care, right? And there's really no wrong answer. But I think if if you feel like it's an emergency, then you certainly, our emergency room department is ready to see you or your child, and or not or your child, your child. But I think it's a good opportunity too to highlight what they're doing. So our emergency department is, I'm so proud of that team. They are absolutely world class, and they right now they are leading the nation in patient experience scores. So we send a survey out to every one of our patients when they leave the facility, and we are leading the nation in the emergency department in those scores. They have been for the last 6 months, and not only do they provide obviously their customer service is extremely is very, very strong, which means it's quick, right? I mean, because that's a big part of that experience in the emergency department is if you're sitting there for hours upon hours, you're not going to respond favorably to that survey.
Exactly.
But they're also providing exceptional high quality care as well, and just about all of our physicians in the emergency department are fellowship trained pediatric emergency medicine physicians, which is there's a big distinction there. A lot of these ERs that you go into, you're going to see potentially a family practice doc who does some emergency medicine. You might see a fellowship trained emergency medicine doc, but I can guarantee you, unless you come to Driscoll, you're not going to see a pediatric fellowship trained emergency medicine doc. And this team is just incredible. And so, going back to the question, you certainly can utilize the urgent care, the quick care. If your pediatrician's office is open after hours, that's always an option. But if you feel like it's an emergency, that's what we're there for in the hospital. So.
Yeah, man. Wow. Incredible. So many different dynamics that you have to deal with. And the impressive part is keeping that compassion and that present culture and making people feel seen and heard, knowing y'all have high volume and there's transactions, right? We get it. And I'm very practical in that sense. And I don't want to ask and I don't want to say, and I just remember being there and just like, it just takes a lot of weight off your shoulders just to have that feeling and that experience. And so kudos to y'all, but let's get back. This is
I was just go
for it.
on when you say you want to feel seen and heard. I don't know if Matt wants to talk about it because I remember when my Isabella Mark was in the ER, and I learned, I believe afterwards, I think it's the Child Life program. Mm-hmm. It's where someone from the hospital kind of sits by them and kind of distracts them while they're putting in an IV. That's or right. they entertain them. It was something that was just made such an impression that she was so focused on the individual that was assigned to her. Is it the Child Life?
You got it right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's the Child Life specialists. And what I love to talk about with that team is that people don't realize how highly trained and highly skilled those professionals are. I mean, if you visit our hospital, you'll go to the playrooms, and sometimes the Child Life specialist will be hanging out in the playrooms, playing games with the kids, and entertaining them. But that's not that's not all they do. And they are, you described it well, they are very highly trained in distraction techniques and soothing techniques, and reducing anxiety with kids. So that when they are having to get poked or they're having a procedure done, a lot of it is out of necessity, right? I mean, if a child is very nervous or very scared, it makes the caregiver's job that much harder, right? And so they perform a very essential function, but they're there to really kind of help the children relax and be able to receive the treatment that they're receiving. And then part of their job is just to make the kids feel like they're not in the hospital, right?
Well,
and so they get to play
it
with
worked,
them.
definitely worked.
Yeah,
I was still
yeah.
waiting for my Valium or something they were going to give me. How are they going to calm me down?
Yeah.
Where was my squishy ball?
We need the grandma
Yeah,
life
yeah.
specialist.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm glad you brought that up. It is impressive. I saw one technique where they basically take, I guess, a capped needle, and they'll basically do like a little song and dance, and then one of those song and dances, the cap's off, and it went in,
Yeah.
and the baby's still, kind of looking, and it's just like, wow, that's it's interesting.
So those are really
Yeah.
unique things, I think, to
It is.
Absolutely.
the children's hospital.
Absolutely. One of our most highly trained members of that team is actually he has 4 legs. He's a facility dog, and he is a golden retriever that will do some of the coolest things I think I've ever seen a dog do. He will literally, if a child is on the CT table, like you have to lay down on the table and then they slide you into the CT scanner. Yeah. Well, if the child is really nervous about the exam, his name is Tesla. So the dog's name is Tesla. He will get up on the table and lay down at the head of the table and let the child put their head on him. Oh. And then just as they're about to slide the CT table in, the Tesla will just kind of slide off the table.
Oh.
It's incredible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
my
really
gosh.
cool.
That
He
is
such a
freaking
neat dog.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Wow. Well, I feel weird changing the topic. I just want to talk about this all day. This is cool. Let's talk
there's
about
so
more
much,
techniques.
and me and my ADHD
Yeah.
brain, I'm thinking, we need to ask about this, or I want to know more about that, or I want you to know, or there are
this is
listeners
fascinating
to know.
stuff. No, this is great. This is exactly what we wanted to do here today. This is important. I do want to go back to the top of the discussion. We talked a little bit about this, and I don't think we haven't had this opportunity, and so I'm kind of asking a little bit of both of y'all, but let's talk about that relationship, because we feel here at FMP we talk a lot about the first layer is trust, and after trust there can be conflict or resolution, right? But you got to have that trust. Clearly, there's trust in y'all's relationship, both personally, but also from the board level and the president level. But how does that dynamic work? What is that relationship between the development board and then the hospital itself, and how does that work?
I guess I'll start, and then Laurie.
Maybe you can explain about 2 boards.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll start. That's a good place to start. Yeah. So we actually have 2 boards. One is the governing board, and one is the development board, and 2 very different functions, right? And they do what it sounds like. So the governing board does governance, and they're looking at operations and quality and finance and all the different
bylaws,
pillars,
and
all that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah. Exactly. The development board is more on the support, philanthropy and support side, and really helping us with development. And so that my interaction with Laurie and her role and the development board has been around telling our story and really and going out and working on fundraising events and philanthropy and those kind of things, and it's a critical role. We would not be able to do what we do without philanthropy, and so that board is such an important function within our health system, and so that's been our interaction. Now on the governing board side. That is much more of a like I said. I mean, I think it's governance. It's you have monthly meetings about how things are going and what are we meeting our strategic objectives and those kind of things.
So is there did the board go through training? Do y'all go through training to learn the Driscoll way and things like that, or how does that work? Or orientation? Or
we do have an orientation, and there's some training. I will add that as the president of the development board, I get to sit on the governance board.
That's right.
And that's a very interesting dynamic, because the governing board wants to understand the decisions that they're making, how that is impacting us through development, and because we always want our story to always be what it is, positive, and hear about the good things. And sometimes if they make a decision that may not positively impact Driscoll, they want to know. And so I find that very interesting and very, I guess, gratifying also that they are concerned about the decisions that they make and how it impacts the community and the hospital locally.
And I will also say that both the development board and the governing board every one of those members are tremendously engaged and ask great questions and hold us to a very high standard, which is exactly what their function is, and hold us accountable to doing the right things. And we are very blessed to have the boards that we have.
So then how does it work because don't some of the doctors also participate on the boards?
They do. Absolutely. Yes.
On either board?
But yeah, on both boards.
Both
yeah,
boards.
There are physicians on both boards. Yes.
Wow.
Which gives us a different perspective.
Very, right.
So the boards
It's
are
important
made
to
up
have that
very
balance.
diverse. There's
yeah,
business
exactly.
people, there's educators, there's
That's going to
physicians
lead to the best
and-
outcome for sure.
and so
I
forth.
think you're right. I think that having physicians on both boards is very important because that is a perspective that is unique to them, and it's a very important one because physicians see the inner workings of
The reality.
The reality.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, you
Yeah,
know what I was
that's it.
thinking about, but
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah.
Emil Milano, of course.
Perfect
Yeah.
example.
Seeing him in the two different capacities, I was reminded of that. But man, what a blessing he was. What a blessing he is as a person, but that day too, being in there and
in the NICU.
yeah, in the NICU, and then Dr. Onrubia as well and stuff. It's just really neat. It's fascinating. I mean, to me, it's fascinating because there's a lot of boards that aren't very functional, and there's a lot of dynamics at play here, and it's neat. It's neat to learn. So okay,
when
well
it's
that
about
helps.
healthcare and it's about children, you find that most people that get involved in the board
It's
like that
still
are going to
hard.
lean forward.
It's
Yes,
still
yeah,
hard.
Well, sure.
You got to be decisive. You got to make real decisions that have real impact.
Well, people from the community usually have the leadership skills, and they're used to being in charge. So I can see from that viewpoint, yes, the board dynamic can be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's tough. There's no
Just
way
like
around
any,
it.
Any other,
Yeah.
major
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it makes more sense now to me that it's a development board, I guess, because the development and the philanthropic side just go hand in hand. I mean, that's how the
Yeah, and
hospital's
maybe
able.
you want to go back a little bit on philanthropy and why philanthropy is important. People pay. You have insurance.
right.
There's
That's
all these
right.
government programs, but why do we also need philanthropy?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we talk about our different, and you mentioned it, our different kind of revenue streams. The reality is we are the vast majority of our patients are Medicaid funded. Okay, and so we do receive some funding from the care that we provide. And I emphasize the word some, because Medicaid is not a real strong payer source. In other markets, you typically have a little bit greater mix of commercially insured patients and Medicaid, and then on the adult side, you'd have some Medicare and those kind of things. We are pretty much, like I said, a one source payment source through Medicaid for our funding on the reimbursement side for our care. That does not cover the cost of our operations. It helps, but it does not cover the cost. We also, as a designated children's hospital, we also receive children's hospital reimbursement rates, which is it's a function of Medicaid, but it's additional reimbursement that helps as well. But at the end of the day, to really make ends meet and do all the things and provide all the services that we provide and all the infrastructure that it takes to take care of children, philanthropy is a critical component of our funding source and sources. And so we without philanthropy, we would not be able to do some of the things that we currently are able to do for our kids. And so it just, we're a not-for-profit Children's Hospital, and so that and having that foundation, really, I mean, at the end of the day, we, like I said earlier, we were founded on philanthropy. That foundation came before the hospital, and so the foundation is what kind of helps fuel our health system. So yeah, it's a major part of what we do.
Yeah. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about how we don't turn anyone away
That's right, and
with their
that's
inability
a great
to
point.
pay. I think that also is important.
Absolutely. So I mentioned that a vast majority of our kiddos have coverage through Medicaid. There's also a segment of our population that just doesn't have coverage, period. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we have always, since the inception of our health system, have always taken care of children regardless of their ability to pay. And we're not going to turn a kid away.
And you mentioned not-for-profit, and that's something very interesting, especially when you're going out and trying to recruit doctors, because sometimes when you hear not-for-profit, you hear no money, and so you become concerned that you're going to work for someone that next week,
Right.
they have to lay people off. And that's not the case with Driscoll. I think that the governance board and the leadership have worked hard to ensure that we have a strong foundation and that we're able to do all the above. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's it's really an important point that we have, and again, it started with the foundation, started with philanthropy, but we are very blessed to have the resources to do what we need to do, and it is. I will say that again, when I talked earlier about coming from different healthcare settings, different health systems that I've worked for. That is one of the great things about being a part of Driscoll is, we still have to be good stewards with our resources, and they're not infinite by any means. But that if there's something that we need to do for children in South Texas, and it's the right thing to do, we're going to have the resources to do it. And that includes hiring the right physicians, and there are not barriers there from a financial standpoint to do the right thing, which is really, really.
And a lot of
You
that is due
mentioned-
to the generosity of the communities
That's right.
now that you serve.
That's right.
You mentioned Clara Driscoll. Was that the original, or how did that start?
Yeah, so Clara was she was the matriarch of her family. She was a rancher. She was a Texas patriot. I think I said that earlier, but her grandfather was served under Sam Houston. And one of the things that made her famous was, or one of her claims to fame, was that she actually saved the Alamo. So she's known as the savior of the Alamo. She in the early 1900s, I believe, they were going to tear down the Alamo and build a hotel in San Antonio. She said, absolutely not. She bought it and restored it and then turned it back over to the Texas Historical Society, which was really, again, very cool story. And that's just one of many stories about Clara that we like to tell. But her vision was ultimately that, that children in South Texas would never have to worry about having access to health care. And so she left her entire estate, and I mean her entire estate, to create our foundation that created Driscoll Children's Hospital. At the time it was, over 200,000 acres of South Texas country that has since been, it's been part of our foundation for that long, and it's allowed us to do what we do.
And her family?
That's a good question. So we talk a lot about Clara, and I don't have a whole lot of information on the rest of her family.
She had children, or I don't believe that she was married or had children.
Yeah,
but
she was the
find
heiress
that.
to the whole the whole family's ranching estate.
Interesting. Laurie, Mom, both. Our show, I get to ask whatever we want. And I've been thinking about this question a lot and saying, I'm not going to ask it, but I'm going to ask it. I think it's important. How does it make you feel? I know not. Let's take the president hat off for a second. But personally, and being able to put together that endowment and know that had to have done something for you personally. How does that make you feel?
Well, of course, I have all kinds of emotions about it. First, recognizing the need, just seeing it firsthand with our team, and then feeling so blessed that we've been able to give back to a community that has given so much to us throughout the years. And it was funny when we were talking about it as a family that Bob and our daughter Lenzda bought the operating company from us about 3 years ago or 5 years ago. I can't
Almost
remember.
6, yeah.
6 years?
Almost, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that went by fast. That's amazing.
Time flies.
And we talked about when Driscoll was being built and our involvement and what we wanted to do, and both our daughter and son said, let's create an endowment. And we're like, well, that's something, that we can plan for. And they said, no, do that now while you're alive and you can see the impact that endowment is going to have. And that was something where I said earlier, I felt blessed that both our adult children feel exactly the same as we do about healthcare. It's very hard in our industry. You get asked by everyone for money. And we decided, okay, let's focus. Although we still give to other groups and so forth, but let's focus. What's our focus going to be? And it's been on childcare, and it's been on education, and therefore our involvement through the high schools and elementaries, and also through the universities. And that's how we chose to give back to the community again that has given to us all these many years. And so it feels gratifying. I feel humbled that we have the ability, but it is an extension of the community that gave us, and now that we're giving it back to them. So lots of times we get to put our name on it, Laurie and Robert, or we get recognized, but really it's our team, our F&P Brands team, the community, people that we have surrounded ourselves through our career, through friends, and they've always leaned in, and we feel very blessed and, yes, honored for our name to be on there, but we do it because of them and for them. It's not just about mom and dad or Laurie and Robert.
I know you've seen it, Matt, and your team certainly has seen it. We're so blessed to be able to work with Luan and Yvette, et cetera, at Driscoll, but our team gets excited, man. Like our team gets excited, yeah.
I see it.
And we're doing a better job of it, because, and I say job because it does take work. It takes work to raise that awareness, explain this, talk to our team, and again, it's what you all have taught us and what others have taught us, and it's how do we teach and coach about that culture of giving. Yeah. It's
I
cool.
see the excitement. I really do. I love. And, it's just a minor example, but I love when your team comes to the hospital with Mr. Blizzard and everybody, and the kids get excited about those things, right? That's fun. I mean, anything we can do at the hospital that kind of takes that hospital feel out of it is always a good thing. And when we get our community partners involved, it's a lot of fun, And so yeah, I've seen that excitement level with your team.
Yeah, thanks for answering that, Laurie. It's cool to see. I know she gives us a little bit of credit, but
Well, we were gonna wait till we died.
I know, and it always gets brought up when we die, and I'm like,
it was interesting because
sheesh.
You have a family-owned business, and you hope that your children are gonna want to participate, and then they're doing their own thing. They went off to college and doing their own thing, and you're like, are you interested? And they're like, well, we thought it was something that we inherit when you die. That was the first one.
Yeah.
But, we feel so very, very blessed that both our son and daughter showed interest in the family business. And then of course, we were concerned. We're like, okay, now they're interested, but are they capable?
Right.
And we could not be more proud. They are very, very capable.
Yeah,
our son, our daughter, and now our daughter's husband David, and yes, I think the bills are going to get paid, and I'm going to be taken care of.
Yeah,
I hope
think so.
I hope
think so.
I had to double check. It's not exactly the same, but it was neat. It was impactful for me, and I'm glad I read it at earlier in my career. But there's he's really not I mean, I guess he is an author, right? But he's an entrepreneur. I learned about him through the poker community. He I believe lives in Texas. Bill, he plays up in Austin also, but Bill Perkins is an entrepreneur and wrote a book called Die with Zero, and it's all about just learning how to build fulfillment in your life, and knowing that one day it's going to be over,
right.
and you can't take it with you,
right.
And so
right.
I think we're trained on how to provide. We're trained on how to survive. We're trained how all those other things. But it's neat to have this discussion about giving as well. It's an integral part.
Absolutely.
I listened to, this is the way that it was taught to me, and it makes so much sense this way. But we have a lot of things. I've actually been talking to the team a lot about this. We some people are like, well, man, you got a lot of work or whatever. How's the company or whatever? I'm like, well, the team's happy. So I think the company's going good, right? If you walk into if you catch us on a random Thursday, our meetings aren't always about blizzards. Sometimes it's about life and about how we're feeling and how we're doing.
Sure.
But I bring that up to say that I've been talking a lot about this lately because it makes so much sense to me. But there's and again, this was explained to me, but there's two different ways, two different ambitions. One is that push ambition, the ambition of I've got to push the weight up. I've got to push harder. I've got to push to do more, right? And you can almost see it with like finishing a workout. You got to push yourself, and that's that ambition that you have to push. But on the flip side, it's very needed in our lives as humans to have ambition that pulls. So that's something that you feel is pulling you, and it's not something that you're going to push towards it. So it's usually things that are driven by purpose and rooted in purpose, because it pulls you to, I need to give, or I need to be there, or I need to, and it's not those things that are, I push harder, I make more money, or I push harder and I get stronger, I push hard. This one is actually pulling you towards something that makes a bigger impact. And so I thought that was a really neat way to look at ambition. And they basically explained that you have to have both.
Absolutely.
You can't just push and have that ambition. You're going to burn out. You're going to look up one day and go, what was it all for? Right? You've got to have some of that pull as well, because it kind of balances you out. And I thought, that's really neat.
I like that. I really do. I think that's an interesting perspective. You were talking about, as you were talking, I was thinking, we were talking about our community earlier, and the kind of the capacity to give, or I think just the sense of community that
Desire
we
to
have,
give.
and the desire to give. I think that also goes back to faith, right? I mean, I think that I think that's something I really also love about where we live and where our community. I feel like we're a very faithful community where spirituality is very important, and part of that is giving back, right? I mean, that's part of what we're taught in church is hey, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and give back, and not just take. And so I think that calling or that purpose, again, I think that's part of our community that just that I think we're very spiritual community.
I love that. I love that you shared that.
Yeah.
Very true. You don't stop to think about it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the spirit of giving, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best part, our most favorite part of Life Currency Podcast. Mr. Matt, we have the team has put together something for you.
All right.
A little gift from us for spending some time with us today.
Wow.
So let's see what we got here. And we would love if you opened it here. So take your time. couple of the goodies that you see on top there, I'll explain as well. But
Okay.
thank you. Yay. Alex, sorry.
needs to
Oh,
learn
actually,
all
do you
that's
mind
cute.
giving me that little note there? That one. Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
So I want to make sure I read that here. But everything was handpicked with you in mind. We thought about what would really hook your interest, and we think we reeled in something special. Thank you for the.
Y'all know you do know me.
Thank you for the impact that you make here in our local community, Matt. It means a lot. So as you open this, I'll share that. Well, let me give you at least a second
Yeah,
here.
give it. Can I tear it like
Tear it like
paper?
paper?
Okay, we'll try.
I was like, oh.
Well, he's.
Yeah, there
Oh,
we
there
go.
you go. Oh, that was
He's
pretty
strong.
good. I doubted that. I was like, how do you tear a ribbon? So Don Breeden is in Brownsville. He's a Brownsville native who lives mostly on the water.
That's right. I'm actually familiar with Don Burrito.
Okay, great. So then you will know exactly what this is. From us to you, sir, here at the Life Currency and FMP Media, a little something, little
wow.
keepsake.
Oh.
That is really cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This means a lot, and I will hang this with, and I have a place I know exactly where I'm going to hang it to. So I will really cherish this. Thank you.
They want to see it over there.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go. Yeah.
That's great.
So they're redfish and trout, obviously local to our area. Matt should be the one sharing this. He knows more about it than I do. But
Well, we have a tremendous fishery, and I like to spend most of my free time on it. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's
Well-
great because Robert swears that there's no fish in the ocean. Said you shouldn't take that banana on the boat. They keep
That's
telling
right.
you that.
No,
They
no
keep telling
bananas
you.
on the boat. That's right.
That's hilarious. That's
No, it
hilarious.
is true. He's like, there's no fish. I don't know why we keep going.
Well, if you do any cooking or golfing, there's a Life Currency towel there
Love it.
for you as
I love
well.
it.
And then you can find our merch at our website, foodandpeople.com, or media.foodandpeople.com. But that is our No One Eats Alone hat.
I love it.
The team works on
Very
this. All of our merch are things that we believe in. So we have some that say "Be kind." We have some that
Oh, nice.
can't come to a
Just what I needed.
you can't come to Food and People and not have a little
Right,
bit of
a little
food,
bit
right?
of food. Absolutely.
So yeah, all the merch. It's cool. I'm very proud of the team. They've put together things that we believe in, and then we just said, why not just wear what we believe in? And so, No One Eats Alone is part of our philanthropic journey. We obviously in the food business we look at a lot of things like no kid goes hungry, or there's statistics about kids not knowing where their next meal is coming from, and so. We feel kind of going back to some of that pull ambition that we want to do our part there. So we thought that would be something that you can enjoy.
I love it. Thank you very much. And I do feel at least part of the family because I spend a lot of time at your location on 23rd.
Yeah.
We're going through the drive-through at least a couple times a week after football practices or baseball practices or something. So, I
Some of
enjoy-
my greatest memories, man,
Oh, yeah.
is running through drive-thrus or after the game.
After the game.
Yeah, after the games. The one that I always remember was over here. It's no longer there. It got moved to but the West University Dairy Queen used to be in the basically the end cap of the building there.
Oh, yes, yeah,
Remember?
yes.
Yeah. And I always remember the wallpaper there because it was the wallpaper that had the bananas and
Yeah.
M&Ms. It was fun. It
It's
was
interesting
really fun.
that you say that because, early on when we were trying to drum up business and asking people to come, and you would hear, oh, we go there all the time, we go all the time. And Robert and I would talk and like, well, what are they going to tell us? They're not going to. And we said, well, they are people are coming. We're growing the business, so they must really be coming. So I love hearing. It always reminds me of that conversation that we
Oh,
had
yeah.
back in the 80s. That they say they're going.
Well,
it must be.
yeah.
It's growing.
You can check my credit card statement. It's evident. It's
Well,
evident. Yeah.
well, we would love
love
to
it.
see
Thank you.
a spike in that credit card statement on July 30th.
That's
'cause
right.
July
Absolutely.
30th.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Miracle Treat Day is coming up. We will be donating 50% of all Blizzard proceeds. So please do visit your local Dairy Queen to make an impact. You get to enjoy ice cream along the way. Our team will be ready to serve y'all and have a blast. So thanks for that, man.
Awesome.
And it would be silly of me to have my mother on here and not get her a little something.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Mom, from
my
us
goodness.
to you.
That's so
wow.
sweet.
We have
Well, thank
Thank you, Andy.
I love it. You see it? I didn't have to die to get them either.
That's right. Smart move.
I love this.
Very
I love
smart
this.
move. Yeah.
Everything in life. In vida, hermano. In vida.
in Vida, exactly.
Yes,
So
oh, there's beautiful. Thank you.
Southern Roots was part of our newest media initiative, First Bites. First Bites is an initiative where we go around to small businesses, and it could be either food trucks, or in this case, Southern Roots is a flower shop that started a restaurant. And so we go just get to know their story and share a little bit about the small businesses as well in our community. I think that's important to celebrate that. And she said she really hopes that you enjoy these.
I am going to enjoy them. She made all the flowers for my niece's wedding back in 2016, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
2016. And then she also did all the flowers for our daughter's wedding as well. And I thought she would do them for Bob's, but Bob had another plan.
Work in progress. Work in progress.
That's right.
Andy,
Thank you. It's
anything else you
wonderful.
want to share, Andy? Yay, thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. They're
really, really
lovely,
nice.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, actually, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go this direction. No, that's all right. Miss Luan, a little something from us here at FMP.
Yes,
And
thank
Miss
you,
Yvette.
Luan. You're just a pleasure
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
always work with, and your smile. We enjoy you so much. And of course, Yvette. Thank you, Yvette. Of course, you always give it an earful. She's like, here she goes again. I have thoughts. Like I said, I have thoughts.
Well, it means a lot that y'all are here today. Our team here at FMP Media, obviously an extension of what we do at FMP Brands. But I'm glad that you get to see the team that helps push out the message for FMP Brands, because it's important that we do this side of the equation as well. And for y'all to be here in the studio today talking about the difference that y'all make, it means a whole lot. And my mom was on the podcast too, so that
I'm
means
so
a whole
excited.
lot.
This is my
I'm
first,
honored to
first-
be.
I
Yeah.
I was
was.
going to say, I'm
Well, I
honored to be on
shared
the
with
first.
earlier about the TRA and doing the video, and I told them, make sure I look good. And they said, oh, yeah, you're going to look good. Well, I saw myself on the video, and you can't Photoshop or put, what do you call that?
Filters.
Filter on videos. So I said, oh, no, this podcast, we'll see how we do. But it's been fun.
It has been fun.
I've never done it, and thank you for allowing me to sit in. And we did not have a discussion about this at all. Zero.
Wow.
So I didn't really know what to expect, and I didn't know when to interject, but or if I should interject, but it was fun, and I
Laura,
really appreciate you being here and sharing information about Driscoll. I think that helps the community to better understand the importance of Driscoll, and of course, on the development side, yes, it can start with a blizzard.
That's right.
As a donation, and feel free to reach out to any of us if you're feeling the urge to continue to give in a different way, and it's not only monetarily but through your time, and yes. So we're thrilled with Driscoll. We're thrilled with your involvement and saying yes in your position, and we couldn't be prouder.
Well, I feel the
Work
same
together.
way, and I'm very, very honored to be here today, and just feel very blessed to be a part of this team, and again, I want to thank you and your family for your years of dedication and commitment to our mission, and that you make a difference. You make a difference in all of South Texas, which is. That's quite a statement.
Well, my biggest takeaway in this Life Currency episode, I mean, Life Currency is something that's been around for a long time. It's things that will help you in your personal and professional career. But Life Currency today, for everybody listening and viewing, is this is real life legacy right here from both Matt and Laurie. So thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much.
I hope you return.
Welcome to the Life Currency Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Lozano, a show that explores success, growth, and opportunity in the restaurant industry. A restaurant podcast by restaurant people, powered by FMP Media.